Once upon a time, in a cozy child's bedroom, there lived a small robot toy. Its body was a gleaming white, and its chest glowed with a constellation of colorful buttons. Every morning, when the first rays of sunlight slanted through the window, the robot would wake up and waddle happily across the room, its beady eyes sparkling with joy. One day, as the robot was making his rounds, one of his shiny buttons popped loose and rolled away with a clatter. The robot gasped in surprise, clutched his cheeks in a dramatic fashion, and quickly set off after it. He watched it disappear under the bed, and without hesitation, he followed. To his surprise, instead of finding a dark, dusty space, he found himself in a strange, magical world. There were dust bunnies the size of boulders and tangled socks that formed a thick carpet on the floor. Long forgotten toys lay scattered around, their paint chipped and eyes dull with neglect. The robot gasped in wonder and a little bit of fear, but his wonder quickly turned to determination. He had to get that button back. So he started to crawl forward, squeezing past leaning board game pieces, hopping over mattress springs, and dodging a swirling dust tornado. All the while, his eyes were fixed on the runaway button, which seemed to roll deeper into this strange land, almost as if it had a mind of its own. Finally, he saw it come to a stop at the feet of a colossal dust bunny king. The king was a magnificent, if somewhat smelly creature with a crown made of a toy car wheel perched atop his head, and in his paws he held the robot's button, batting it playfully. The robot wanted to explain that the button belonged to him, but all he could muster was a frantic wave of his arms pointing to his chest. But the king didn't understand. All he saw was a shiny new addition to his hoard of treasures. He hugged the button like a precious jewel and let out a happy snort. And so began a most unusual game of cat and mouse, or rather robot and dust bunny. The king, with his crown askew and his bulk making his movements more stomp than hop, lumbered after the robot. The robot, nimble and quick, darted between the toy blocks, weaving and bobbing to avoid the king's clumsy swipes. Forgotten toys scattered by the movement cheered and laughed, their voices echoing in the vast space beneath the bed. The robot dodged and weaved until he spotted an old yo-yo string lying abandoned nearby. An idea sparked in his circuits. He quickly tied one end to a block and made a loop for the other, setting a perfect trap. Then, using a small flashlight, he made a beam of light dance across the floor. The Dust Bunny King, entranced by the twinkling light, got to his feet and lumbered toward it, his attention completely diverted from the robot. This was the robot's chance. Leaping into action, he snatched his button back and scrambled away as fast as he could. Suddenly, the king shook his enormous, fluffy body, letting out the biggest sneeze the world had ever seen. The robot, along with the socks, toys, and dust bunnies, was sent flying out from under the bed in a whirlwind of dust and sunshine. Back in the bedroom, the robot triumphantly reattached the button to his chest. His lights flashed with happiness, making the rest of his buttons envious. He struck a heroic pose, basking in the warmth of his victory and the soft glow of the morning sun. And although a tiny screw from his arm fell to the floor with a clink, he didn't seem to notice, too busy being happy. For now, he was whole again. For now, he was ready for whatever playful mischief or tiny challenge came next. With a gentle hum of contentment, the little robot settled down to watch the sunbeams dance on the carpet, happy, brave, and more determined than ever.